Morrison's going to forge ahead with planned increases to superannuation as the Liberals become increasingly, or at least publicly so, divided over this issue.
Andrea Crothers joins us live from here in Parliament House in Canberra. Andrea, the Prime Minister's not bowing down to pressure.
That's right, Annalise. We've seen a number of backbenchers agitating over this issue of the increase to superannuation, which is expected by 2025. Scott Morrison today has finally come out. He said that there will be no change to the scheduled increase of superannuation.
Senator Bragg's idea of making super voluntary, will they be looked at?
Oh, well, that's a recommendation that's been put to us that we conduct that review, and it's one we'll be actioning, and I'm not going to limit it. But the government's policy, let me be very clear, is what's set out in what the law of this country is, and our policy hasn't changed.
Yeah, but these things are free to be looked at as part of the review?
Well, reviews look at all sorts of things. I can only refer you again to what the Treasurer said yesterday about our plans and what the Finance Minister has said about our plans, and indeed what I said about our plans on this topic. I was asked about this in the lead up to the last election, and my answer to that was very clear, and I will keep the commitments that I made to the Australian people.
The Prime Minister there slapping down any chance of a change to those scheduled increases. Now, this all comes after New South Wales Liberal Senator Andrew Bragg made his maiden speech last night. He said that he wanted to see superannuation made voluntary for those who are low-income earners earning $50,000 or less per year.
Super is a classic case of vested interests triumphing over the national interest. The fees are too high, there is not enough competition and there is insufficient transparency. Super should be made voluntary for Australians earning under $50,000. Taxpayers could simply tick a box to get a refund when filing an annual tax return.
As backbenchers continue to caution against super rate rises, Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers has been quick to seize on this public division.
Well, it's absolutely laughable that a Liberal Party of stagnant wages and rampant wage theft wants you to believe all of a sudden that they care about low-income workers. It is absolutely laughable.
And Andrea, the government's repeal of the Medivac laws set to pass the lower house.
That's right. The government has suspended standing orders as it sets to push through that repeal today. It looks set to go through the lower house, but it isn't likely to go to the Senate or get through the Senate until September after that committee inquiry comes back. And with the numbers the way they are at the moment, it will likely come down to Tasmanian Senator Jackie Lambie, who is yet to declare her hand on this issue. And if any of her other decisions are anything to go by, it could be some time before we know how she'll act.
Andrea.
This legislation should be rejected to undermine legislation that is working, that's consistent with the framework, that doesn't provide any pull factors, that's providing health care for people in need. And that is something that is just basic decency, basic humanity, and that's why the Parliament should continue to support the Medivac legislation.